As you can see, I've drawn a large rectangle on the screen. I will split the rectangle in half with a line. How many boxes have I created? Right, 2 of course. How many boxes did I start with? Yes, 1. I still have the one big box. But I also have 2 smaller boxes. I need room to write the number of boxes in the middle of the line, so I will erase half of the line. I'm going to write the fraction 1 over 2 under my dividing line. The bottom number represents how many total smaller boxes I have within the big box. And the top number represents how many I have to the left of my line. I will now draw 2 more lines. How many boxes do I have within the large box now? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Once again, I'm going to erase the bottom half of these new lines so that I can label them. The first section is now 1 of 4, so I will write 1/4 under the first line. The second line is 2 of 4, or 2/4, and the third line will be 3 of 4, or 3/4. You can see that the middle line has 2 names, 2/4 as well as 1/2 under it. These are the same value. Try not to let this confuse you. For the next steps, I won't write another number down if there's already one there, as it would already be in what is called simplest terms. So we would always call 2/4 1/2. We know fractions are in simplest terms if the top number is odd. I'm going to do it again. Now I'm going to draw lines cutting each of these boxes equally in half to make 8 rectangles. And label them the same way as before. 1/8, 2/8 would be 1/4, 3/8, 4/8, which is already labeled 1/2, 5/8, 6/8, which is 3/4, and 7/8. Once again, let's divide these one more time, and we will have 16 equal boxes. And let's label them. We have 1/16, 2/16, which would be 1/8, 3/16, 4/16, which would be 1/4, 5/16, 6/16, which would be 3/8, 7/16, 8/16, which would be 1/2, 9/16, 10/16, which would be 5/8, 11/16, 12/16, which would be 3/4, 13/16, 14/16, which would be 7/8, and 15/16. As you can see, my rectangle now looks like a giant ruler section. Here's a picture of a 1-inch portion of a ruler to compare. Okay, let's move that out of the way, and I just want to write down all of the denominators and write them on the paper below my rectangle. They are 2 for the halves, 4 for the quarters, 8 for the eighths, and 16 for the 16ths. When you're reading a ruler, these are the only denominators we will use, unless you're possibly reading more accuracy down to a 32nd. By the way, notice I snuck the word denominator in on you. A denominator is the bottom number of a fraction, and it represents the number of pieces there are in the whole bigger box, which is representing 1 inch. While the top number, the numerator, represents how many pieces or sections of the big box we have. For example, if we have 8 for our denominator, then we have divided the box into 8 equal pieces. If we had 8/8, then we would actually have the whole box. Whereas if we only had 3/8, we would have a smaller portion of the whole box, or a fraction of the box. Let's finish by looking at the 1-inch section of tape measure again, and identify the lines and what fraction of an inch they represent. You can see the lines have different lengths, representing a certain denominator, the longer lines for bigger portions. Let's have a look at each. The longest being our half-inch. Next we have our quarter, 2 quarter lines. Then we would have our eighth lines, slightly shorter. And then slightly shorter again we have our 16th lines. If you can read this section, then you'll be able to read the entire ruler or tape measure, as there are only 12 1-inch sections for each 1 foot on Imperial Ruler, as you can see here on the expanded Imperial Ruler. Thank you.